My first guest tonight is a country music superstar. He's got a new album, Dwight Sings Buck, which is due out next month. Please welcome my buddy Dwight Yoakam, everybody.
To see they got the correct size album, because I heard there was a large scale kind of version of that floating around.
Yeah, there's a big
billboard size thing that they hoped you wouldn't.
I can't put a billboard size
no,
thing
I know.
on.
I said,
yeah.
I saw it earlier and I said, that's kind of obnoxious, but I'm glad that you ended up with the correct.
Yeah, this is, and I'll put this in my iPod. I don't know how you do that, but I'll do it.
Did you purchase it?
Yeah, I went out and bought
How you do it is you buy the record.
No, I can't afford that kind of money. You know, I mean, what is that? Is it like $15 for one of these?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
But worth every penny.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. It is. I thank you for coming on today. You know, I never know how to handle September 11th show. Where were you?
You know, a lot of people have quit handling it, and that's it's kind of strange. When you called, they asked if I'd come on.
Yeah.
And we chose a song off of this album, actually, that Buck wrote, and it was sublimely poignant. You know, Buck was a very happy guy and always kind of, you know, a shrug and a smile. And as I was doing this record, I didn't realize the depth of emotions that I would feel and what his songs would bring to me emotionally. And that song, when you asked about today, although it doesn't deal with the thing specifically about this, it's more of a love lament. Yeah. But it's about remembering.
How do you?
And that's what this is about.
How do you remember it? What
you know, as fate would have it, that morning we had a day off of touring on Monday, September 10th in 2001. I was in Richmond, Virginia on the 9th. The 10th we were off, and we thought, well, we'll spend the day in D.C. So we were at a hotel in Pentagon City, and my mother called and called through to my room. It was early in the morning, and I sleep in, and I thought, well, you know, there's something wrong with the family, and she said, are you watching the news? And I turned the news on, and of course the first couple of planes had hit the Trade Centers at that point. And my girlfriend then was at JFK waiting to go out. And so I called my mom back, and as I was speaking to my mother, the window in my room shook from the concussion of the blast of the aircraft. Flight 77 had struck, and I said, I knew I was a quarter mile. I was across the street from the Pentagon. So I said, I've got to go. I said, I think they blew up the Pentagon. And didn't know till I got to the window I could see a trail that it was evidently the plane.
Right.
So it was a strange, surreal, and bizarre experience for me. And I didn't find out till later that day, actually early the next morning, that a friend of mine who had directed 3 of my videos, Ain't That Lonely Yet, which was a big hit for me in 1993, 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, I co-directed with her, and Fast as You. Carolyn Mayer Bugh was on the first flight. I think it was a United flight out of Boston that went in to the Trade Center. Had lost her life in that, and her mother was with her, and they had left. You know, it's the mundane aspects of what was going on in that day before that moment that affected me, and still does. She left her 2 children, her 2 daughters, for their first semester at the Rhode Island School of Design, and I have never been able to, you know, get that out of my mind, that, you know, what had been a mother and daughter, and at that point grandmother experience of transitioning in life was followed by that horrific moment that nobody could have anticipated or expected, and it changed all of us. The thing is that I think that what you're doing, Craig, and I said this to you, you know, off stage, and why it's important, and it's awkward now to, you know, and people are saying, let's get on with our lives. This whole firefighter this morning who was there in the building and lost a lot of friends, saying, yeah, I've moved on with my life. And then he stopped. He said, but I can't really. And we owe it to those people who lost loved ones directly, I think, to honor their loss with, if nothing else, just bowing our heads and saying, we all remember, we were there, we were alive. In 50 years, there'll be several generations of people who weren't alive, at that moment.
Yeah.
The great news is we survived. What you said earlier about I think what Colin Powell said is correct.
Yeah, I just copied it.
Well, that's you're going to steal.
Yeah, I know. It's like, thank you, General.
But I think it's correct, and I think that's what we all should we hold and remember is that we in fact survived, and we will survive it, and it's not about who's in power in this country.
See, that's what
and who's in elected office at any given time. It's about all of us, and if nothing else, for that few days after that, when I came back to LA, it was interesting. Flags went up everywhere, and it wasn't about being from a red state or a blue state or being a Democrat or a Republican. It had nothing to do with anything other than our shared pain and our shared sense of loss and the shared shock and horror and I think outrage at human beings doing this to innocent people. And that's what we're remembering. That's what you're allowing the country to remember and your audience to remember. And thank you for doing so. And I think you should be given your citizenship just on the basis of...
I just think you want that. Thanks. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back to Dwight Yoakam, everybody.